I'm sharing this here to make myself feel at ease. My boyfriend, Mark, well, ex-boyfriend now, though not because of this, not directly. But it sure didn't help us, let me tell you. He was there. He saw it too. Or felt it, at least. But he's the type to just box it up. Better to just try and forget, he'd say, anytime I'd even start to bring it up. But how do you forget something like that? Some things just burrow in, become a part of you. A cold spot you can't quite warm up. It was supposed to be one of those perfect, Instagram-worthy trips. You know the kind, late September vibes. Mark and I, we weren't hardcore survivalists or anything, but we weren't novices either. We loved getting off the grid, finding those trails where you could walk for hours and not see another soul. This one was a 5-day loop, pretty remote. We'd pored over maps for months, excited for the challenge and the quiet. That first day was pure magic. The kind of silence that's not empty, but full of tiny forest sounds. The smell of pine and damp earth. God, I used to love that smell. We made camp by this tiny alpine lake, water like glass, and the stars. Unbelievable. Just us, the mountains, and that huge open sky. We were holding hands while walking. It felt safe, wholesome. Day 2, pretty much the same. We pushed on, deeper into the wilderness. The trail got a bit rougher, but the views were stunning. It was probably mid-afternoon, sun dappling through the canopy, when I first got a feeling. It's hard to describe. Not a sound, not a sight. Just a prickle. You know that sensation when you feel like someone's watching you and you turn around, expecting to see them, but there's no one there. It was exactly like that. I stopped, scanned the tree line, just this dense, dark wall of firs and hemlocks, packed so tight you couldn't see more than a few feet in. Nothing. "You good?" Mark called back, noticing I'd stopped. Yeah, I'm fine," I said, trying to sound casual. Shook my head a little, like I was shaking off a fly. Just thought I heard something. Which was a lie. I hadn't heard anything. I'd felt it. Didn't want to sound like a nervous Nelly, though. It's the wilderness, right? Bears, deer, squirrels, the wind, a million perfectly normal things. But that little prickle, it didn't quite fade. It was like a low-frequency hum just under the threshold of hearing, but you could feel it in your teeth. I kept telling myself, "Jess, you're being ridiculous. It's the isolation. You're just not used to being this far out." We were by then a good day and a half's hike from any road, truly on our own. That night, sleep was patchy. Every snap of a twig, every hoot of an owl. And were there even owls? Suddenly, I wasn't sure what the normal sounds were anymore. Had me wide awake, heart thumping. Mark was sawing logs beside me in the tent, bless him, completely oblivious. I just lay there, listening, trying to be rational. By day 3, the feeling wasn't subtle anymore. It was like a weight. Not just a general being watched vibe, but specific, intentional. Like a spotlight, unseen but definitely there, trained right on me. I started catching myself constantly glancing over my shoulder, scanning the trees, my eyes darting into every dark patch of undergrowth. I was looking for something, but I had no idea what. The woods, which had felt so vast and liberating just 2 days before, now felt constricting, like they were leaning in, holding their breath. "You okay?" Mark said when we stopped for water. He had that slightly exasperated but concerned look he got. "Seriously, Jess, what's going on?" I hesitated. You know how it is. You don't want to voice something that sounds crazy, but it was bubbling up. I can't shake it, Mark. This feeling, like we're being followed, watched. My voice sounded small, even to me. He frowned, did a slow 360, really looking. An animal, you think? A cougar, maybe? They're stealthy, but they usually want to avoid us. I don't know, I whispered. It doesn't feel like an animal. There are no tracks, Mark. We haven't found a single print that wasn't ours or some rabbit. No scat. We haven't heard anything. No growls. No branches breaking like something big is moving. It's just this oppressive knowing. He tried. He really did. Said it was the remoteness, the silence, my imagination running wild. He even made a big show of scouting around our planned campsite that evening, looking for tracks, for any sign of anything. But there was nothing. The forest floor was pristine, covered in that thick, soft layer of pine needles and moss. It was almost too perfect, you know? Like whatever was out there was so careful, it didn't leave a trace. Or maybe it didn't need to touch the ground. That thought just popped into my head, and I pushed it away. Real fast. That evening, setting up camp, the air was thick. You could almost taste the tension. The usual evening chorus of the forest. The birds settling down, the crickets starting up. It was muted, subdued. Almost like everything was holding its breath with us. Even Mark was quiet. I saw him check the canister of bear spray on his hip. Saw him make sure the flare gun was right at the top of his pack. We usually made dumb jokes about that flare gun, calling it our bear disco ball or something equally stupid. But no jokes tonight. We ate our meal mostly in silence. The campfire, usually so comforting, just seemed to push the darkness back a few feet, making the shadows deeper, more menacing. I kept seeing things flicker at the very edge of the light. Just movement. When I'd snap my head around, nothing. Just those damn trees, standing like silent, disapproving judges. We crawled into the tent early, zipped it up tight. I snuggled to Mark instantly. Mark was quiet too. I knew he was listening just as hard as I was. But we were tired, and sleep came fast. I don't know how long we lay there. Minutes? Hours? But I woke up to a sound. Crunch. One single, unmistakable footstep on the dry leaves just outside the tent. Not a little scurry, not a heavy animal tread. This was careful, deliberate, like someone trying not to be heard, but failing just that once. Mark also got up from his sleep. We both went absolutely still. Crunch, a little shuffle, then another crunch. Something was moving, circling the tent. Slowly. South. Damn. Slowly. I squeezed my eyes shut, praying. Please be a deer. But my gut, that cold knot of dread that had been growing for 2 days, knew better. Then, the fabric of the tent, right beside my head, moved. Slowly, like something was leaning against it. And then, a shape formed. An impression of a hand. A huge one, splayed out, pressing. My breath hitched. I wanted to scream, but my throat just closed up. It was there for what felt like an eternity, that sickening pressure. Then it slid away. Everything went quiet. And then all hell broke loose. The entire tent erupted. It was seized, violently from the outside. Shaken so hard I thought the poles would snap, the fabric would rip. Then Mark screamed, this raw animal sound of pure terror mixed with aggression. He was joined by me, too. Mark was already moving, a panicked scrabble in the pitch black. I heard the rip of Velcro as he tore his pack open. The shaking got worse, the poles groaning like they were about to give. I was convinced that this was how I was going to die. "Got it," he yelled. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely work the tent zipper, shouting the entire time, with fear and adrenaline, to scare whatever was outside. Mark finally tore the zipper down just enough to shove the barrel of the flare gun through the opening. He didn't aim. He couldn't have. He just fired. aiming down a couple of feet from the tent. There was this incredible whoosh, and a blinding crimson light exploded outside, bathing the trees around us in this hellish, flickering glare. For one heart-stopping, freeze-frame moment, silhouetted against that unholy light, I saw it. Or a part of it. A shadow. It moved with this jerky, unnatural speed, recoiling from the light, and was gone. Vanished back into the deep woods like a nightmare dissolving at dawn. The shaking stopped. We heard a frantic crashing, branches snapping as it fled into the forest. Then, silence. We didn't sleep. How could we? We just sat there, huddled together, Mark clutching the now empty flare gun. We'd only brought one flare, one single goddamn flare. And me with my stupid little camping knife, shaking like leaves in a storm. The first hint of gray in the sky was the most beautiful, most welcome sight I think I'll ever witness. Our tent was surrounded by footsteps, deep ones. We didn't bother with anything. We just jammed everything into our packs, left the tent as it was, half collapsed, and we ran. Every snapped twig sounded like it was right behind us. That feeling of being watched, it was still there. It took us a full day of pure adrenaline-fueled hiking, barely stopping, to stumble back to the trailhead, back to the blessed sight of our car. We didn't talk about it. Not really. We didn't have the words. We filed a report, of course, with the rangers. Said we'd been harassed by an animal, maybe a bear. Tried to sound normal. They were polite, jotted it all down. But it wasn't an animal. Mark knows it, I know it. Bears don't stalk you with silent, intelligent patience for days. Bears don't press their hands with fingers against your tent. Mark and I, we didn't last much longer after that. I don't go to deep woods anymore. I can't. Even a walk in a city park, if the trees are too thick. I get that prickle. I still don't know what that thing was. Part of me screams not to know, to just be grateful we got away. But another part is dying to know the truth. And I can't shake the feeling that it's still out there, in those dark, silent places between the pines, just wandering. And that's our story for this episode. We hope it gave you a few chills. If you enjoyed this journey into the unsettling, please take a moment to hit the like button. It really helps us out. And if you want to hear more eerie tales like this one, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so you don't miss our next upload. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.